Hey, what's good, guys? I spent a little bit more time in Toukiden. It's been a while since I streamed or anything, but I got that kind of, that Monster Hunter, the Monster Hunter kind of itch, just looking and playing Dauntless for so much. So I'm going to actually, for this, I'm going to stream for maybe about an hour to an hour and a half, and I'm going to try to talk just about the game. You guys can still feel free to answer questions or whatever, but this is going to be live on the channel, and hopefully it'll just kind of be a resource, because there's not a lot of Toukiden 2 stuff out. So, hey, what's going on, Goat? What's up, Black Lotus and Shirako? If there are any problems with either the audio or the video, it's just really important to just kind of let me know. The funny thing about Toukiden that made me be able to enjoy it from not being able to enjoy it is there is a camera setting for the vertical distance, for the distance away from your character, and it was set to this close by default. And when you end up fighting these monsters, you're just like right up in people's faces. And it's such a small thing, but being able to take it back away just straight up made everything so much better. So right now I'm just equipped with dual fists. This is one of the weapons from Toukiden, and I'm going to venture into the open world, and I'll just kind of show you what they got. There's a lot of really cool stuff. It's funny because a lot of people who have played Toukiden, I don't even know if I'm saying it correctly, they give it like a 3-day system, where the first day you're like, I don't know if I like this game. The second day you're like, okay, I can kind of see. And then the third day you're like, oh shit, this game is really cool. And I think I'm in that second phase now. The first time I streamed the game, I think it was after like 45 minutes, I was just like, that's it, like I'm done. I just don't want to play this game anymore. And I probably should have picked up some people. The thing that I've found, though, you can't, Dauntless is under hush hush. You can't talk about it at all. The thing that I found with the PC version, because this game is available for the PC, for the PS4, as well as the PlayStation Vita, is that the PC community, I guess that's around it, is very, very small. So I'm just going to grab some hour-long buffs. It's just like Monster Hunter. You can just get these different buffs that, activate. So this one will give me a little bit more health and prevents my armor from getting disabled. And then this is a prayer. This will just allow me to get a higher rate of a specific thing to drop. And we'll touch on that thing a little bit later. And I can call colleagues. So when you're not playing multiplayer, you get an assortment of characters that all have different sort of pros and cons. And this will just be like a makeshift party, so you can see them sort of displayed there. And something a little bit dumb, but you know that it's an Asian game, is that I can go ahead and try and take a bath with people. These guys are all my soulmates. How many hours of gameplay are you looking at in this game? It looks interesting, but does it have that staying power? Yeah, like, staying power is really relative. You can enjoy this game, and I think one of the things that sets this game apart, at least from Monster Hunter, is that it's not just a clone. Like, it is a clone, but it's almost like Monster Hunter mixed with a JRPG. There is a pretty elaborate and large storyline that goes through everything. So this is the bathhouse. The reason you even do it is that it gives you a suite of bonuses as well. So like in Monster Hunter where you eat, this one you can eat, you can pray at like a shrine or give an offering at a shrine, and then you can also take a bath. So we're going to go into the open world. One of the things that really kind of separates this game from the other type Monster Hunter games, where if you open up your map, these are all places, and there's like a questing system that will bring you through it, but there's also just monsters just sitting there, which is kind of cool. Alright, so the one thing that turned me off from the game almost immediately, and you'll see that these guys just beat the shit out of these low-ranking kind of monsters. And in a lot of even in a lot of the missions, at least in the beginning, you don't even have to pay too much attention, because the AI almost simulates like an average player, and these are like low-level demons. They're not any, like, they're resource points. They literally have no real point to the fight. Like, you can just watch them. They fall down in 1 or 2 hits. But this guy, this bigger goblin guy, he's like a very, very low end. It's like the first monster that you fight. And I'll show you just sort of the gloves. So, much like Monster Hunter, you're going to have like slower attacks. You don't have a huge amount of different attacks. And the different attacks will have different timings. They'll have different sort of ability powers and have different hitboxes. And the gloves are a very strange, and I think probably my favorite attack, because they have these very powerful slow strikes. And I think I might have to turn the volume down. I know that the combat gets really loud. So let's just turn it down to about like that. But you have this one like rapid fire attack, and you just keep punching. And the really cool thing is that as you get further on in the game and you understand how the skill systems kind of operate and work, you can create entire builds, not only with your party, but even towards your own character, where you're just about this massive flurry of attacks. And so you do just a shit ton of damage. And it's a very high damage attack anyway. Not to mention, when you are using the gloves, you'll see these like blue sparks. And the blue sparks only happen if not only do you use the attacks, but you almost like quick time attack as you hit it. So I'm using an Xbox controller right now as I'm playing on PC. If I push the X button, which is like the light attack, if I push X just before combat, you'll see the blue spark, and it just means you do increased damage. And that vicious volley of attacks, it has the same thing. And the longer that this goes on, the faster the attacks will actually get. And they can get pretty crazy, and so you kind of learn these timings, and so it gives the gloves a little bit of depth. But one thing that the gloves really suffer from is that they have very little like anti-air type of attacks, and there are other weapons which specialize in air-based attacks. So let me see what type of demon will allow me to show you how it can get really silly, how much damage you can put out in a quick amount of time. I'm going to go to the command desk. This is much like Monster Hunter, where you can choose different type of missions. Unfortunately, I don't have all the stuff active that I usually would. I swapped to the PS4. As I was saying earlier, the community around PC just isn't there. So I'm going to... This is a lobby guide, but the premise should be the same, because the gloves work well on enemies that are close to the ground, they don't require a lot of vertical fighting, and that you can get into these type of sweet spots. So we'll go ahead. So there's a soft lock. We'll fully buff up. And then the nice thing is that once he does his shockwave, I should be able to sit here and pound on him for probably about 15 seconds. And those blue sparks means he's getting hit. That staggers because a body part of his broke, but you'll notice up at the top on my health bar that the yellow bar keeps refilling itself. And that is a combination of both some of the abilities of the characters that I've put in my party, as well as an ability that I have that on a crit, or in this game they call it a precision strike, will refund a little bit of the focus. So you can see just how many hits actually went out. And if you're just playing like normally and you're not like synergizing those buffs, you're not going to get that many hits. And so when you're just hitting X, when you're just hitting your normal attacks, you see how few attacks actually go through. So this guy's already taken massive damage. He's already dead. So that's just a very quick kill, just because you're synergizing the different types of abilities that are active, and then a little bit of knowledge. I know he's going to do the shockwave. I know that if I can get onto a specific leg, I'm safe from all sorts of attacks. And boom. And so it has that same type of speed running ability that Monster Hunter has. And this is probably a decent time to show you, I think, I want to say, my favorite part of the game. And it's the real strength of Toukiden, like 100%, is this, they call it Mitama, but it's kind of like a soft class system, right? Oh, sorry, it's the JRPG has to come through, because I think I might have had a mission to do some command stuff. So, you know, Mitama will have to wait, but you'll see that there's a lot of dialogue. There is quite a bit of story. I ran through most of the story in PS4, and I don't even remember how many hours. It was tens and tens of hours of just like dialogue and a story that you could follow. I didn't, but it does exist if you kind of like that kind of stuff. But back to Mitama. the best way, I guess, is to use the baseline. I'll walk out here. So in the bottom right, you see the YAXB. If I hold the right trigger or the right bumper, it'll kind of pull that out. I have Might, Leech, Carnage, and Recovery. So these are the abilities that I have, and you can almost think of them as like Dota abilities, like a MOBA. Might will increase my attack power. Leech will give me Leech, like I'll steal HP. And then Carnage will make it so that for a short time all my attacks are crit. That's what allowed me to just punch. But as the main character, you have the option to kind of change that class up. And that's where the Mitama system comes in. And down at the bottom here, and you'll see I don't even have all the Mitama. I think there's like, yeah, it says at the top, there's over 200 of them. And they're separated by different types of categories. So we have attack, defense, speed. I don't remember what HLG is. I don't know. I don't know what HLG or SPT is, but they're just different types of things. Oh, SPT is Spirit, Decapitation, I think, Special, and Luck. And each of these, if you take a look, will have different sets of abilities. They all share the recovery ability, and that's because, at least if you're thinking about this in the terms of other Monster Hunter type games, these are augmenting the abilities, or not the abilities, the items. So something like a Shock Trap, where you can just like hold somebody in place, is like this one, I believe it's Deception, the Stupor ability acts as a shock trap. So when you're creating your party, or when you're creating your own build, you can keep in mind that your 3 allies will have different sets, and so you can stun lock, you can have a bunch of healers, you can just play around with these. And it's just, it's so much deeper than it should be. And this is the thing that really, it was the first hour that I played this game. This is a character in a Monster Hunter game with the taunt ability. Do you, like, even just the gravitas of having a character in a hunting style game with a taunt ability is absolutely incredible. And the support, actually that's not Spirit, that's support. No, there is a support one. Oh, there's a couple of the classes that I hadn't looked at. Support, this is like, all of the abilities help everybody else out, and you can give focus, you can give like sort of like an ultimate meter. And I don't know, there's just, it's incredible, and it takes it like another step further, because you have, in essence, 3 different slots for the Mitama. The first one gives you the sets of abilities that you're going to use. The second one is going to give you a passive ability. So each one of these subcategories, you'll notice even if I move throughout the subcategories, it's the same ability. But these are passives that happen after something happens. And usually they're defensive in nature. So for the attack-based, it'll prevent you from dying, so it'll keep you at 1 HP. And these have like short little cooldowns, whereas the Spirit, when I use an ability called a Demon Hand, which is kind of like a grappling hook, I don't think I used it before, it'll put a slow, like a field of slow underneath an enemy. So these are a secondary way to sort of increase your character's sort of like abilities. And then the third one is your ultimate, and these are on cooldowns. They're just like not spammable, but you can build these up, and these are very powerful abilities. This is another base attack power. This one trades defense for attack for a limited amount of time. This one creates a mirage. So these are your ultimates, and you can choose between them. So those 3 make sense on the sort of base level, but if you go ahead and look at the boosts, right, you have a set of boosts that all 3 of those give, right? So this is to give meaning between the different ones. So if I go to the attack subcategory, you can see I have 3 attack-based Mitama. So the boosts are a series of abilities, or a series of passives that will affect more things of the character, right? So this specific attack one has an attack up, has an increase the damage when a burial, Leech, Random, Mortal, Criminal, Investigator, and you can choose 3 of these, right? So you get to choose 3 passives from each of the Mitama. So 1, 2, 3, and then this would be from the second Mitama I equipped, and they all have, a whole bunch that you can choose from. Some of them are weapon specific, like this one obviously is going to be for the bow. And so you can sort of see how there's depth. There's depth not only in choosing your skill set, not only in choosing your defensive passive, not only in choosing your powerful ultimate attack, but also in choosing what defensive abilities, what passive abilities you want to kind of aid you in doing all your crazy shit. So I'm going to go ahead and swap weapons. Maybe I'll just go build something. I haven't really been keeping up weapons or anything in this playthrough. So we'll just go ahead and create some dual swords. So Echo Cutters. So, much like Monster Hunter, just an array of different types of different type of weapons. And most of the mainstays are there. This one has like a chain sword and kind of like this chained sickle, which I think is really... I don't want to say they're like iconic of anything, but they're cool enough without being stupid. And I'm going to go ahead and change my main set of abilities, because with the attack one, you can really make the kill times of fights go really, really slow, and that's just not... It's not what I care about. Okay, that's another thing. But if you put in like combinations of these Mitama, you can get these like secondary passives. So that one that like popped up was I couldn't be frozen, but if I choose 3 of these CON condition, I don't know what the actual term stands for. It increases the number of times I can use summon striker and summon follower. So okay, like, I hope that's kind of just sinking in that there's just a batshit amount of things that you can actually do. So we'll go ahead and we'll choose a mission. And we'll do something that's not super difficult. And we'll sort of just like scale up. So we'll do the Sky Shredder. So I'm going to bring in a support character just because, you know, supports are great. This is a decapitate. I don't know if it's decapitation, but his skill set is good for breaking off monster parts, and I hate that kind of shit. And then I generally bring Yakumo, and we'll just walk out. And because we did it this way, we won't go into the open world. We'll be brought into a special area. Do you need a remote to play it? There is a PC version of the game. I'm playing with a control pad. I don't think I could play this game without it. I don't think I could play mouse and keyboard. Do I recommend the game? It's not too bad. I think you have to really enjoy Monster Hunter and want to play a Monster Hunter game for the sake of playing a Monster Hunter game. It's kind of like if you really like a sci-fi movie, sometimes you'll still enjoy a shitty sci-fi movie. This is it's the broad appeal of this game isn't enough to just justify this game to everybody. I also really dislike certain things like you're going to hear the Asian, I don't know if it's Chinese or Japanese or Korean or whatever. There is no English, even in the client, and I think I can, if I do this, you might be able to see it. If I close the window, and no. There, so this is just showing you the window because I'm playing it in Windows mode. Even the window of the game isn't in English. And that's just kind of standard for most of the game. It just doesn't feel like it was properly localized. It was just get it to the people, because the gameplay is almost more important than everything else. Yeah, the story is really easy. The multiplayer is really fun, though. And what was cool is that I usually play the PS4 for more multiplayer-based things. And this is like a really cool game to play with other people, which is just, you know, what you imagine from a multiplayer game. So all those green things that you're seeing, those are the demon hands. They're an ability that everybody has that works kind of like a grappling hook. And there's some really cool, I don't want to say like gameplay ramifications because of it, but it locks onto things and you'll see the red circles. But in certain aspects of the maps, they will give you kind of like a platforming element. And you can kind of see it too, just using it here, because you slow time when you actually use it. And it allows you to sort of transverse the map or maybe get to the right position. I couldn't imagine doing that without the slow time. But you can also interact with the enemies in weird ways, and we'll see if we can get it here. If they charge at you, like, I guess he wasn't charging. If an enemy is charging at you, not just walking, and you demon hand him, it'll pull him down. So it becomes like a method to actually deal with them. Except he's not going to... Okay, never mind. Now that I want it, it's just never going to happen. And on top of that, it allows you to get air, which is just ridiculously important. I don't remember the abilities of this guy. I think this guy has he has the spin to win attack. So in other games, usually the two-handed, very powerful weapons will have the whirlwind type attacks, but the dual daggers is where the spin to win effect is in this game. And you'll see me a whole bunch of times kind of standing still next to these floating body parts. That's how you gain resources from the enemies. You break off parts, and then you purify them, because these are kind of like demons, right? Like Asian demons, I don't know, Oni or something like that. Not to mention that the ability set that I chose... Oh, there, I pulled him down. So, that's... At least you get to see it. Yeah, the ability set I took is not quite a caster, but it's based around the purification symbol. So when I'm purifying, you'll see that one ball start like rotating around. That'll attack, and then you'll see that other sort of red field. That was a defensive perimeter to red being fire, the fire element, and you can change the different elements that you want to deal with, but just drastically different from the attack-based self-buffings. There is no PvP system, but in Monster Hunters type games there usually aren't. A lot of times people care about clear, like the time that it takes to clear things. This set of abilities is actually very powerful, especially with classes that want to use their like very powerful attacks that are based in focus. So that yellow bar allows you to do like that spin to win attack. And so if you're just going to just only attack when that's active, which you can make recover faster by using the Purify ability to begin with, it works like super well. And the Dual Swords is one of the classes that does it, because this hits so many times, it's so powerful. So you can kind of not be a quasi-support, but kind of be a bursting type damage dealer. So there he goes into Enrage form. That can sometimes make it a little bit tricky to purify body parts. In fact, there's a set of abilities that you can use that'll put down a purification field so that you can focus on just killing the enemy if you just don't want to deal with that mundane animation. But that's very similar to monster carving in Monster Hunter. Like, you break down a tail and then you go ahead and have to, you know, cut them up. Up at the top left, you can also see on my weapon, on my short swords, there's a orange meter, and then there's also a blue meter right below it. These are two sets of kind of attacks. The blue meter allows me to use my demon hand and choose a part on the enemy and just break it. So I can target specific areas, and if you played a Monster Hunter game, you know how important that could be, and it'll permanently break it. The other attack is a very powerful weapon-specific attack, so it's like short swords will all have the same type. It'll break apart, but it's kind of temporary. You'll see the kind of appearance of the enemy. It's kind of like ghosty and kind of, you know, there's like a reddy area and a purpley area. When you break apart, you have to break the shielding, then you break the part, and then it vanishes, but it'll respawn in almost like a phantom limb. And from my understanding, it'll take more damage, and it denotes that you've already gotten the item from it. So sometimes you get some really cool animations, but he's already dead. Hey, what's up, Mosimba? Yeah. Oh, yeah. In the other stream, Mosimba, I was telling people that I needed you to jump into my game and then teach me how to play, because I was not enjoying the game at all. How many hours playtime do you have in this game? Is this a sponsored stream? No, that's not a sponsored stream. On the PC right now, I think I probably have only about like 10 hours. And on PS4, I probably have double or triple that. Oh, I think we've all gone through the Warframe phase, Mosimba. You're forgiven. So I'll change weapons again, just to give a little bit of variety. Just create something dumb. I don't want to say this is my favorite weapon. It's definitely not a weapon that I hate, though. We'll buy a mallet. It sucks, so they don't have the materials for any really decent mallets. Yeah, this is garbage, especially if you look here. This one's attacking for 700 like pure. This one is just weak. This is like half as powerful, but it'll do. So, what can I do with the weapon to kind of show off something of the game? Okay, so this vendor, this shopkeeper, you'll see his equipment and everything that he has to buy and sell. This is all based in a per session, so if you attack something and then come back, he'll replenish his shop. But on top of that, if you open up the actual world, so this is where I am in this village. If I head over and I sort of pan onto these different areas, you'll see supply route. And this one is safe, this one is safe. This is safe. Do I not have any dangerous ones on this? This one's impossible. So if I go into this area and I start killing enemies, I can make that supply route safer. Like, it'll go from impossible to dangerous to whatever. And if I get it to safe, then they will ship in a bunch of equipment that I can buy from the shopkeeper for currency as opposed to needing monster materials. So that's what I'll go do. I'll just go beat some ass. That's what I'm gonna go do. So we'll go to the Rainfall mission. Yeah, the multiplayer, I usually only play a PS4. Do you have the PS4 version, Masimba? I'm just gonna try to do this for maybe like an hour and a half or something so that there's some searchable stuff on Toukiden. Alright, so we're just gonna run. Again, these spiders, just like the monsters from the beginning of the stream, they're not even important. You can just kind of stand by them and your dudes will kill them. Like a lot of stuff in the game. But there should be like a big ball dude coming up here, I think. Okay, maybe it's not this area. Now, as an open world game, it's kind of a cool idea. I don't know how much I generally like it, because half of the game is done in the same sort of mission style that that Monster Hunter does. But on top of that, the maps feel very linear. Like, it's cool to see this giant world, but they don't feel like giant worlds. They feel almost like you're playing an action RPG, like a Diablo 3, where, yeah, sure, there's like a lot of ground that you can run around in, but it's all just kind of like palette swaps on like a very linear maze. Where did I learn about the game? I learned about the game from Mosimba. He's actually in the chat right now. He posted a video of like why he likes Toukiden, and I checked it out. And generally, if you just type in like games like Monster Hunter, like I had said like the first time I talked about Dauntless, it's just there aren't many games. So when games like this come out, they kind of keep their eye out for them. So the hammer being, you know, the man's weapon, is all about charged attacks. So you can attack and do kind of just, you know, very slow, high damage attacks, but the real bread and butter are that you have these attacks that have these level of charge. Think like a great sword in Monster Hunter. Now the thing about this, which makes it kind of shitty, is that the enemies in this game have very strange, very, very strange, like, attack patterns. Sometimes they just don't move. Sometimes they do. But you'll notice these, like, pauses in the AoE. And the thing that's really shitty about the hammer is that most of the attacks are so stationary all the time. And if the enemy does this and just stands still, you can do an absolute shit ton of damage because of how much damage the hammer actually does. But sometimes they don't move. So you get... God damn it. You get very drastic, different kill times if you're not making a party that is based around it. And he was standing stationary that entire time, even without, you know, kind of using different types of traps or ways to actually keep him steady. And to prevent people from getting triggered, let's focus attacks on the head, because a hammer user who doesn't attack the head in these type of games are the devil. Now the special attack, which I'm using now, you'll notice that the charge is going to different colors. So this one is going to go up to like blue. And that's kind of one of the really cool aspects of using the hammer in this game, is that, yeah, you have different charges, but the special attack will allow you to keep your charge up to 3 times. So the attacks just, I don't know if it increases by 100%, 200%, 300%. I don't know what the multipliers are. But if you can keep something stationary where you can charge all the way up to pink, you're just beating ass. You are just beating the shit out of whatever it is that you're attacking. Yeah, the club is very similar to the greatsword. I feel like because this game generally has less types of attacks though than Monster Hunter, you feel a lot more, I don't want to say limited, but you have to rely almost entirely on charge attacks with this, whereas the Great Sword, you can kind of fight with it normally, and then you can, once you understand the enemy's attack, you can really capitalize on mistakes. The hammer is another one of the things that doesn't really have good air attacks. So I pulled him down there. Just calling attention, not because I'm good or anything, but just so you can kind of see how that demon hand can play into it, even if you don't feel like, you know, hook-shotting all over the place. That white orb that is on his wing as well is an ability from a different class, which makes it, I want to say that it has, you gain more of the blue gauge when allies attack it. Also, if you check out that animation, when I hookshot, attack him down, I'll actually kick up the club with my foot, and it's probably one of the best animations in the entire game. I'm just going to keep doing it until I can get a clean version of this animation. Yeah, looks so good. God damn it. Yeah, it has swords and shields. I've only used it once. I didn't really like it. I'm not a sword and shield kind of guy. Oh, and those are Mitama that I was going on and on about. All of those passives they're not active from the get-go. You have to sort of level them up. So there's kind of like a progression system that's attached to the game. Alright, so I have my weapon ultimate. That's that lightning-y charge. Smash them. Usually they go down. But I think that I've already broken this guy's feet, which you can tell by that kind of spectral appearance. Let's just finish this guy off, and then I'm gonna go into one of the cooler spots, and it might be, how long is this stream been going on? 35 minutes. It might take a while. I wanted to save it to the end, but it's one of my favorite spots, and it'll give a decent amount of ideas for the type of monsters. It kind of sucks that this is two of the same monster back to back. Yeah, the sword, I don't know, sword and shields, Mosimba, I understand that you might like them, but you're a weirdo. Sword and shields are so bleh. So bleh. Let's give this guy a wide berth, because I don't want to fight another one of these cats. We're going to use one of these teleport stones just to head back. Or we'll just go into this area that we haven't been to so far. Yeah, the people playing with our AI, it's... The problem is, and what I didn't want to show off, because I could have... I think you can stream from the PlayStation, is that they're good, right? Like, you'll see that they do things, and they'll help purify, and they'll attack, but generally speaking, they're not as good as the people you're going to encounter when you're actually playing the game. And I find that especially when you're doing even the co-op missions, people are coming into this game with such a wealth of information. Oh, look, I did mess up the security rating in this area down to dangerous. But they're so good that it almost trivializes it more. This game has like a JRPG story, but at the very like none of these Monster Hunter games are supposed to be difficult, but if you don't play with the AI, everything takes too long. And if you play with people, everything takes, it's way too short. Way too short. Yeah, multiplayer is definitely an option. It's definitely more fun once you get a little bit like to the actual stuff that can kill you. Like you saw with the dude I killed with the gloves, and it was only like a sub 1 minute fight. When you're actually playing the game, you can get those incredibly high or incredibly fast Monster Hunter like kill speeds. The really big issue, and it's the reason why I can't play with Mozumba, is that the PC community, I think one of the only ways you're going to be able to routinely get people to play the game is if you have friends who already play it, or if you jump onto the Discord server and just look for people there. I find that the community just isn't as good for just like jumping into a game. I don't know if that's because the PS4 shares a community with the PS Vita as well. I also think that there's probably some level of it that this game feels so much better with a controller that a lot of people who might get it for the PC, if they don't have a controller, they're not going to play over the long run. I'm hoping that, if I'm going to be real about Dauntless, what I'm actually hoping is that Dauntless does something that is cool in the long term with their content updates. Right? Like, I don't think they're going to be able to outclass Monster Hunter. Because, I mean, Monster Hunter is one of my favorite franchises. It's probably some of your favorite franchises. But they don't have to, because you can only play a Monster Hunter for so long until your friends go like, oh, I'll catch you in the next one, or until you're bored of fighting the same monsters, or you just need a break. And if you have Dauntless to go back to, and every time you do go back, there's like, 10 different monsters or something, that's cool enough. Alright, so we'll go change weapons once more. Let's return to the village. So one of the cool things that I think a lot of people may appreciate, and something that would really work well in probably all Monster Hunter games, is a kind of unending challenge. Like, just throw monsters at me. And that is something that this game actually has. So let's choose a dumb weapon. Let's choose the sickle. And I don't have materials for any of the good ones again. These aren't even good. Like, just heads up. This is like halfway through the story mode right now on this. So bear that in mind. So what do I got? I got the. All right. Alright, so on the actual weapons, you'll see that there's attack dexterity, and then for here, it's a green colored, and there's a green icon. That's just elemental damage of wind variety. But we're gonna choose a pure one. Dexterity is actually a really bad term for crit. That's what that is. And then just to make you groan a little bit more, we'll look at these guys. This is it's still free. This is a terrible send a little robot dude out for a timed Facebook mission. And you kind of micromanage that. It is just dreadful. Just absolutely dreadful. Okay, so we're going to go into the runes for some exploration. So these are So, like that Facebook mission, there's almost like this weird steampunk aesthetic, and you can get these little robots that you can run on missions, and they kind of are interacted with the runes, and the runes have a place in the story. But for gameplay purposes, you have things like, you know, explore the runes until you reach level 5, and then after that you can leave every 5 levels. Meaning that you can just run this place forever. And then you can also come back into it, etc. This one is for, you know, 10 floors, and these all have different monsters in them. Like, you can also see the art. So this is for the Age of Peace under location. And for whatever reason, they choose Age of as like the forest or whatever because of the terrible story in the game. So we're going to go ahead and choose the expedition, the basic honor. So Age of Honor. This is all snow, I think. Right, so we'll choose support. We'll go ahead and... let's choose one of those little robot guys. He's got a gun. Guns are cool. And then Gwen. Gwen has sword and shield, but I just like the name Gwen. I don't like the sickle because the sickle has very few attack moves. That's all it is. I don't even know how good it is. I played it. I even did the tutorials for most of the weapons just to see all of the different types of attack moves. And so you have this holding the button, and this one acts as kind of like the demon hand where it grapples you to him. Oh, I wasn't close enough, I guess. It'll grapple you to him. You also have just the tapping, which is a 4-hit combo, which is at like a mid-range. You have a melee 3 slices with the sickle portion. You have a back dodge that has an attack, so you can, you know, get in close to the sickle, back dodge, and then use your medium attack for the wah-wah, and then your special attack. And I think this is why this is probably going to seem like a noob-friendly type of a weapon. Is this giant spin, and that's all of the abilities. Like, that is the sickle. And one of the things that really annoys me is that this spin attack, especially if you get in a group where everybody's using it, hits so many different things that you don't even have to... I shouldn't say that you don't care about what parts of the bodies you're attacking, but it matters very little. And just bear in mind, as I just get my shit kicked, that I do not, like, ever use this weapon. Yeah, you can combo off the chain grapple. The chain grapple just puts you in the air. And the sickle allows you to use a lot of moves in the air. I think one of the reasons I remotely don't hate the weapon, though, is the special attack for the sickle is this cool, like, it's just a really cool animation. You'll kind of see that I prioritize animations a little bit too much. So I'll also put a little bit of note on this little water spout. There are these elemental spouts that'll happen in different sort of battlefields, and you can grab them with your demon hand, and I can either eat it to get that element attached to my weapon, temporarily of course, or I can throw it. So I'll go ahead, fucking mash that dude, and then just keep going. And in these closed arenas like this, you know, that's not that important. But you can imagine in the open world, or if you're playing with friends, you can time out burst windows. Alright, so now I have the attack. You'll see that I spin it up, and then I just throw it, and it just looks so cool. It just looks so fucking cool. And that knocked off whatever that part of the body is. Man, could you imagine, though, trying to show this game in multiplayer? Like, in kind of a more general term, a lot of these hunts last, like, a minute. Oh, she's dead. Alright, cool. So, I'll probably go ahead and just cancel out of this one, or maybe I'll do the next hunt, too. Just, I hate this weapon. I should change the skill setup as well. But it'll give me a sort of like a time limit, and it'll just push me right into another floor with another enemy to go fuck with. Right, and so this one, a little small guy. This guy won't take any time. And you may notice that in the abilities, they're sort of numbered charges. And, you know, that's definitely part of why you would choose something over the other. And when you're doing these, you have a limited amount of times that you can refill those charges. In the open world, in the actual game, anytime you go back to town, you're going to refill it, so you can just do it after every story beat, or anytime you're by a teleport stone. But otherwise, you have to use these little, not obelisk-looking things, but these little glowing rocks. Yeah, the Naginata, or the whatever that weapon, it's pretty fun. It sucks because the weapons I like are the most boring to look at or explain. Like, the gloves are the best weapon in the game. Let's be real. Just punching a dude in the face is the best in the entire game. Yeah, this one has probably more mutilation just because so many parts can fly off the enemy. And I'm going to go ahead and quit this now. But it doesn't, because of that, it can get really, it doesn't feel the same. Because like when you work, oh, this guy's, I'll just look at this monster before I pop out. When you're playing Monster Hunter and you're like, oh man, like I need to cut off that Rathalos' tail, and you're spending time like trying to get an angle on the guy's tail, when you finally cut that tail off, you're like, oh my lord. In this, like, just pieces are flying off all the time, especially with certain items or certain monsters or certain ability makeups, and it's just not nearly as thrilling. Okay, so we'll just go ahead and abandon that. So I won't get the materials. I just wanted to show you that it's this kind of like, here's a monster, here's a monster, here's a monster. And you can go ahead and be like, oh, I'm going to do this 10-floor thing, and you could do it with a buddy. And so it's like, it cuts out a lot of the fluff. You don't have to go back and forth from town. And it kind of challenges you, because as you move forward, you're going to run out of the kind of uses of your abilities. So, do I have a Naginata on this character? Or can I create one? I can create a Blade Wind Naginata. I think I have one. Oh, I have a Shokushi. Yeah, I actually want the Shokushi. The Shokushi I think is Poison Element, which it's whatever. And it's upgraded. It's Reforged +4 because that's the kind of dude I am. So let's go ahead and grab the. Oh, luck is kind of cool. Do I have luck yet? Oh, why didn't that go through? There you go. You're a thief with honor. Cool guy. Cool guy. So I've never actually messed around with the luck. I just did the tutorial. And so you have an ability that will randomly do something, an ability that will randomly affect your stats, and then an ability that will randomly like replenish the stats that you actually have. Just dumb. But let's choose a guy here. So we're not gonna use the open world. Let's choose the Oni on fire. So one thing that the Naginata does very well is aerial attack. And you notice as you play the game that being able to attack things that are flying is incredibly important. Or even being able to get into the air. Like there are some monsters that are really, really big and your only 2 points of attack are their feet, but their feet are always moving around. So being able to follow them in the air is really, really powerful. And the Naginata also has a lot of attacks that'll have forward momentum, which again, very important in these games where movement is super. Yeah, the Dauntless is currently under NDA. So the Naginata has aerial attacks and flurries of attacks, which are both really fucking great. So very similar to the... Oh, fuck you. Very similar to the gauntlets, where I'll be able to just put out a flurry of attacks, depending on how much focus I have. And you'll see that I'm able to move, which I'm not able to do with the gauntlets, but the Naginata doesn't have that frame where I can double the damage and get the blue spark. And you'll see a lot of the attacks for the Naginata are also there's like a lot of movement to them. The Naginata also has a block, but it's a very short iframed block. It's less than a second. I don't think I showed off that the gauntlets do have a block, but it's not that important. Okay, so go ahead and use some of that shit. Hopefully he flies in the air and I can be required to have to get him in the air, so hop up in the air. I'll just attack him from the top. So even if I was trying to prioritize breaking his head, the Naginata has a very easy one-move attack or one key press attack that gets you in the air and allows you to target certain things. But these weapons that have these flurries of attacks are like heavily favored by people who want to just dish out a ton of damage. So there you can see a piece already broke off. You don't really notice when they break off, though, because you're not targeting them. In that respect, the game feels a lot more arcadey. They're just things that happen that just kind of create chaos on the battlefield. He got knocked off, so I'm just going to leave it. Got knocked down. Oh, and he's back to his old tricks. But it takes a while to actually purify or to turn them into resources. But there's another piece. Like, this guy probably has like 8 pieces that fall off of him. So, as you can kind of hear from the audio cues, I don't know how loud the game sounds are, but that attack is multi-hitting him on the way down. Which is why I just kept repeating it. It's hitting each of the pieces as I sort of go down. There's another piece that just broke off. Sometimes, depending on what ability classes you have, your entire team, the entire time, will just be focused on making sure that you get all of the all of the harvests done. There's another part in the background. I'm gonna go ahead and use my super attack. Kills them. A 4-minute kill time also isn't too bad for not really focusing on anything. It's kind of average for this game. I think before you get your big dick on, 4 minutes per hunt is pretty decent, which is kind of nice in contrast to Monster Hunter's larger than that for the average player. Like Monster Hunter, you can kill something really, really fast once you become a veteran, once you learn about elemental weaknesses and sort of abuse certain things. But 4 minutes, this whole game is so much more arcadey than Monster Hunter is. One of the things that really separates the game from me, though, that I really dislike, is you'll see that I've already killed the enemy, and things will just like pop up, rewards will pop up, and these can be rewards that came from the quest, but they can also be the results of purifying like a tail. And you know how I was saying earlier that if you're focused on cutting off a tail and then you cut off the tail, you're excited because then it's like, oh, then you carve the tail or you purify the tail, and it's like, oh, you got a Rathalos tail. Well, in this game, sometimes you purify something and you won't see the text pop up for like 10 seconds, and it really detaches you from even caring about any of the parts. You're just killing stuff, parts are falling off, and that's just what happens in the game. And that really grinds my gears. All right, let's swap to a different weapon. Let's swap to the longsword. Man, I am not a longsword pro. The longsword is... They did the damn thing on this. They did the damn thing. So we'll swap to... Let's kill the Petros. This guy's sick as... This guy's like just really, really cool. I think he has that. Alright, so longsword. That had a child with AOT Wings of Freedom. I can see that. Hey, what's up, Ray? Alright, so the longsword has a shit ton of combos that move between a sort of light attack and a strong attack. And the attacks you can chain them more than I think any other ones. Like, the one that I normally go to is like light sword, light... what is it? Fuck. Light, heavy, light, heavy, light. And so it's like a 7 or 8 key attack, and there are other ones. But it's important that you know when the combos end, because there's like these double alternate mechanics. So one of the first ones is you empower your blade. Okay, so you turn it blue, and you'll see that my yellow gauge, my focus meter, is going down. Now, every time I attack this guy, I kind of am marking him. And then when I release the blade, he gets attacked, right? So he's taking damage based on the amount of strikes that I got in as it all went through. So that on its own is important. But if at the end of a combo, so there's another combo that's 4 light attacks. So let's go, I think he's gonna do AoE. No. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and I hold the button. So on the 4th attack, I hold the button. You see that my sword is now yellow. If I activate that part, I'm now in a different form of that ability. So it kind of has that feel of Monster Hunter, where you have the different colored swords. And I think the only real difference between the two is how much damage and how fast the focus gauge goes down, but I could be completely wrong. I don't use this weapon very much. There also is a way to release the attacks, which I think people who enjoy anime would like, just because it's one of those like cross-cutting attacks. So if you release it and hold it, it's kind of an edgy way to slice through them. This guy's a little bit too big, so you don't get to see it very well, but slice them, and then I'll just attack in a random direction. Right. So it's kind of cool. Instead of a block, you have this sort of... kind of like a charge. It's kind of a little bit of mobility. Yeah, thanks for pointing that out, David. I wasn't, or Goat rather. I don't want to call you by your name. That's disgusting. I wasn't even going to stream this. I was just going to record like just a giant bulk piece of the gameplay. But I'm keeping an eye on chat just a little bit. So if I don't reply, my bad. Most of the air attacks for the longsword also bring you to the ground very quickly. So much like the gauntlets, this is something that you're kind of weak against the air. The different attacks that you do when your blade is even glowing. So like I was saying that there are a lot of different combos, there are a lot of different key presses for just the light and the heavy attack, but also the charge. It'll have a different effect. I think some of them are like it does more limb damage, and like one of them it just increases your damage or your focus recovery. Like I'm bullshitting there, but they have different effects. I remember that from the tutorials. I really don't even I don't like this weapon, and I think it's because I liked the katana so much in Monster Hunter. The controls feel okay for if you're using a controller, not really for the PC, right? But it still feels more arcadey than Monster Hunter. Like Monster Hunter feels very slow and almost deliberate, where there's like a respect for your time, and the AI and the animations play a much bigger point. So like in Monster Hunter, needing to sharpen your weapon can sometimes be a big deal because those 2 seconds can get you killed. In this, routinely the enemies are just like not moving. Like I could easily run away here, and I probably could stand here, I don't know, let's just pretend infinite time before he even notices me. Oh, well, he got knocked down, so that's not fair. I'm gonna go ahead and use my supercut, because that just looked cool. Something that really upsets me, though, about the game is that I'm playing on PC, but this game is graphically more taxing to my system than other, like, AAA games. Like, the graphics card fan starts up, my CPU fan starts up. I can get to, like, 50% CPU usage from this game when I get, like, 10% CPU usage in, like, Black Desert, which is crazy. I don't think that it requires more juice. I don't know exactly what it is, but it's just interesting. Alright, so now I have my unity gauge built up, and so if I was on like a hunt by myself, or depending on what your team was using, you might want to maintain this gauge or hold on to it to be able to kill parts of the body that you're not able to hit. So using the longsword, the heads, the horns on the back, those are the parts that really fuck with me. So I'm just going to make sure that I target his head with it. And then I'll punch him in the face. I think that got his arm. God damn it. But yeah, the unity gauge is that blue gauge. It fills up very slowly, and you want to be very careful. I don't even really want to say careful. You want to be selective with what you use it on, because parts are so easy to break off, but when you use that, you permanently break that part off. And it's my understanding, again, I could be just spouting bullshit, is that if that part is used in certain attacks or something, they'll stop the attacks. But honestly, it's for pinpointing specific parts of an enemy that you want to harvest. But I like pretending like there's more depth to it. There could be. I think I might have saw that, but I don't feel comfortable saying that that's exactly how it is. Oh man, I just used my buffs, and the guy's rolling attack confused me. Oh my lord. There's a range to the demon hand, and he keeps his animations pulling him out of it and then back into it. And then at least I was able to sort of knock him out of his roll. So the demon hand can also counterplay a bunch of different attacks. Didn't an episode of Attack on Titan come out too? I hear you looking about Attack on Titan in the comments. I feel like I want to rewatch the entire series before that all happens. Yeah, the BDO streams are just in the archives. Most of them are on Twitch just because I was getting tired of getting them recommended in my own feed. I haven't played much Black Desert. I'll probably jump back in. I've told myself that I'll jump back in when the Awakening Weapon for the DK comes out. But there's just been so many great games that have popped out. Like, I still haven't even finished Persona or Zelda or even Nier. Like, there's just so much, and there's so much coming as well that it's just tough. But when the DK Awakening Weapon will pop off, that'll definitely bring me back for quite a bit. Yeah, I'm not so much maining the DK, it's just new stuff is always good. The Tamer's my favorite, but because I'm not doing anything that requires a lot of playtime, so I'm not like trying to grind to 60 or something, I can play my Tamer, who's like, I've said it before, is my favorite class of like any game. But then you kind of are like, okay, well, I want to try something new, or I want to play something new, because it's not like, oh, I gotta get this guy super powered or anything like that. Let's go to the Playtime Whip. The Playtime Whip! I have no idea how this weapon actually works. I'm gonna be 100% honest. I know that I can throw quills. I've seen that. But, that's about it. Actually, I don't even want to fuck with that. Let's do the spear. I don't even really know the spear either. All I know is that, for whatever reason, that Demon Bane drum is 173 electric damage with 3 pure. Is the spear... So the spear might be taking the role. Like, if I look at all these items, in other Monster Hunter games, the short swords or the daggers generally were low raw damage and high elemental, and it looks like the spear is taking that sort of mantle in this game. I don't use the spear. The spear's a pussy weapon. Let's go back to the gloves. We're gonna go back to the gloves. It's a good chance that people who were here in the beginning of the stream are no longer here now, so that's fresh. Let's go Shoki. Let's swap this up, and we'll just go 3 attack. Fevir, eat a broccoli. Oh lord, maybe one day. Maybe I'll do some broccoli themed memeing or something at some point. I'm not cool enough to understand this meme culture. Okay, so let's choose somebody. All right, we'll go to the Scorpio Claw. Shaniqua. Okay. I feel like if I'm gonna do one of these more not informative but sort of focused on the game streams, I need to make sure that chat's there so that I can respond to chat without having to read it out, and so it's actually right there, which is an important thing. All right, so here's the Pum Pum. So let him do a shockwave. And then Hope Buddy uses his trap. But just like the first guy I fought, this guy is just going to take just... Oh no, my focus is lower. Oh no. Just die, bitch. Die, Beetle. Have you played any of the Galahad update for Albion? I just started playing last night. Yeah, I've been playing it a bunch. I took this expansion, or at least the Galahad update, just to try out a whole bunch of the different weapons. I'm not going to put any more time outside of just trying out a lot of the different weapons at tier 4. I really enjoyed a lot of the changes. In the next little bit, like within the end of the week, I'm going to sit down and I'm going to talk with... I got in contact with one of the game mods, like actually just a player. He runs a Blackstone guild. So, you know, a guild that's based in PvP in the areas with the lowest safety. And I'm just going to talk to him about what the game is all about, like at the more hardcore levels, and see how the Galahad update and how the game's shaping up. I'm kind of looking forward to that more than I should. I'm really excited about Albion, if I'm going to be 100% honest. Kunir. Is that Junior with a C? No idea. Are there any crazy big monsters in the game like Monster Hunter? There's some. Like, it's all kind of like... I don't want to say relative. I don't feel like there's any... Like, I don't remember the names. Like the Caldeus, or like the giant water guy who's in that one. Or like the one that you're on the ship. I don't think there's those. Or at least at the same scale. But there are big motherfuckers. Yeah, I haven't decided already if I'm gonna like record him, or if I'm just gonna talk with him. Like literally, that's all it is. But the problem is he's in like a different time zone, so I just made I just put aside a bit of time to actually be able to like sit and just like grill him. I'm just gonna ask all of the dumb noob questions. Maybe I'll record it. Maybe I'll put it on the channel, depending on how good the conversation is. No, this is offline. This is just story mode. Yeah, everyone hates the Cadekus. Yeah, well, you're an Oceanfarin, buddy. Boobs or ass? Legs, man. What are you? Come on. Come on, buddy. Nice set of games. Alright, so... You know what, actually, I think that's a pretty decent timed, a decent amount of information about Toukiden. I think I'm happy with that. I just wanted to do like a short thing that I wouldn't feel bad about having on the channel, that if it was recommended to me or someone else. So let's talk to these people. Maybe just as this closes out, it'll show you how much terrible amount of not only dialogue but just like JRPG-ness there is in the game. But I'm gonna go ahead and close out the stream unless anybody has any questions on the game, and that'll do it. I just want to. I started responding to comments and it started getting a little bit off topic, and I wanted to try and keep this as on topic as possible. I'm not entirely sure how I'm going to kind of do the streaming in the future. I'm gonna be honest. I streamed for a little bit and I enjoyed it. Then sometimes I didn't enjoy it. It kind of felt bothersome at certain times. But what I found is that I personally don't enjoy streams. I don't like watching them, and even my VODs, I when looking at them, I was like, I don't really care all that much. So I think for me, I'll have to do streams that are more focused, just because it's something that I may like. I found myself watching quite a bit of like hour-long videos of just hour-long videos of games that I was interested in, and I think that's kind of how I want to model streams that'll become VODs on the channel or VODs on Twitch or whatever after. But yeah, that's that'll probably do it for me. So let's just show off all these great dialogue menus, and then that's it. That's let's end it in the snowland. Let's end it in the snowland, and then that'll be it. Go to snowland, zoom up on my bald character. Thank God this game has a bald option, and then answer any sort of questions that pop up. I don't think there should be too many questions. Hopefully this will be done. Jump to Portal Stone, Snowland. Later, Irony. Thanks for popping around. All right. Do you prefer playing this with mouse, keyboard, or controller? I'd only play it with a controller. If I didn't have a controller or a gamepad, I wouldn't play the game. I was thinking about buying Toukiden 2, but I spent money on the Dauntless Founders Pack. However, how highly would you recommend Toukiden 2? I think Toukiden 2 is a great way to get that kind of monster hunting kind of gameplay. There's a couple issues with it. I think that it feels not like it should cost the amount of money that it does. I think the game's like $70 Canadian, so I don't know, it's probably like a retail like $59 or $69 wherever you are, which is kind of a bit much for the game. Like when you play through the game, the fact, and I already showed it off, the fact that even the client, let me see if I can, the fact that the client isn't even fully translated, and the fact that there's no English like voice options, it feels very not cheap. It doesn't feel cheap. It just feels like you shouldn't be paying full price for it because it's not done for the North American audience. Fevir, are you bald in real life? I shave my head by choice, and I have since I've been like 17. But I bet you if it grew out now, I'd want to shave it just because I'm an old man. I have a green afro like my avatar. All right, so let's see. Yeah, okay, so that. Oh, cheers, man. I appreciate the answer. £50 put me off, so I didn't buy it because of that. But quite frankly, if it's a good game, I don't have a problem spending money. Yeah, I think the best way to categorize the game at the end, I said it earlier, is that it's not a great game on its own. It's literally just, if you like Monster Hunter, if a monster hunting game is enough of a reason to buy it, then you will find that here. It's like if you enjoy sci-fi, you're going to enjoy a mid-tier sci-fi movie much more than somebody else who doesn't like sci-fi. And this game has that hunting experience, but it also has like this weird JRPG aspect to it. I don't think it's worth the money, to be honest. And I have it on 2 platforms, but it's a lot of fun. Are the skills like Demon Hand related to a class system? Not really. The Demon Hand is available for all players, but there is a Demon Hand-ish type ability that really isn't even affiliated with the Demon Hand. Just through the story, you can have a ultimate ability, and that is like a Demon Hand ability, they call it in the game. Lots of people complain about North American voice actors. Yeah, no, they definitely do, but that's a separate complaint. The option, like you can have bad voice acting and then opt for the Asian voice actors. That's cool. Like that's fine. You might enjoy that even if the voice acting was good. If the voice acting was, English and bad, then my complaint would be they have shitty voice acting and I'm paying more than a premium price for a product that feels shitty, right? So, but I mean, even still, like that's arguing about certain things. Some people don't give a fuck about the voice acting. Like I know that there will be people who, oh man, like there's so much story, but none of it is spoken to you. Right, it's all reading, and that's a con for some people. For me, I don't even give a fuck. What's the total aim of the game and end game gear, epics, legendary, or just progression to finish the game? Much like Monster Hunter, you have a story, and you'll beat the story. But then they will have a series of enemies, whether they have more health, or whether they're bigger, or whatever, that you can take on that are higher ranks, and you can't outgear them. And you kill them, and you take the body parts, and you just create gear with it. And really, that's it. And maybe you want gear tied to a specific enemy. And so to take this in terms of like Monster Hunter, you can do everything in Monster Hunter if you're good enough, probably naked, I'm going to be honest, wearing no armor whatsoever. But you might want to be clad in the armor that looks like a Rathalos, and the Rathalos being like a fire-based dragon. And that fire-based gear will give you resistances to fire. You might be more weak to certain things. It might give you bonuses to different stats that exist in the game. But you never need to get it, and it's not like a goal because the Rathalos armor is only good against people who do fire damage or something like that. So in this game, it's very similar, where you can collect and just get all of the armor and, you know, choose a specific armor that you like the appearance of. Like, this armor I think is pretty rad looking, kind of Asian-y. So I just went like, oh, I want to complete a full set of this armor, and then you just go and you do it. So it's not like progression. It's not like you need to get all of these armor pieces to be able to kill this next enemy, and then you need to farm that enemy to get the armor pieces to go. It's no. You're just like, just kill shit. And if you're good enough, you're going to be able to do it if you have a good strategy, if you avoid attacks, etc., etc., etc. Later, Doug Chug. I wish you'd use the whip before you go. Yeah. Okay, I'll just... You know what I'll do? I'll do the tutorial for it. Or I'll just walk into the open world. Which sucks. Like, the whip is really strange because I don't know all of the attacks. I just know that there's this weird quill thing. You're killing me, man. One of the reasons I wanted to stop right now is I was going to turn on the PS4 and do some multiplayer. Alright, so... I guess that's the whip. So the whip... So there... That's the whip. Then you also have this, like, weird projectile-based thing. And for some reason, I think there's something else to this. Because you can... I want to say you can, like, impale those whip shots into monsters. I want to say that you can probably blow them up. One of the issues I have with this, and you guys won't be able to tell because I turned the volume way down, is that it's really loud, it's really noisy. And I know that's a dumb reason not to want to use a weapon, but it's just really distracting. So we'll just jump into the open world one more time, and I think we'll just... The first big monster that we find, we'll just fuck with him just a bit. So I think this is what gets people when they think of the game as like having an open world, is that there are these long roads that you can go places. So it feels like it's an open world right now because you're running, but if you look at the map, I'm literally just running on a singular path. There should be one of those weird spidery dudes that shoots cannonballs close by. Alright. Okay, so we got the whip. I'm gonna be messy. Oh, I didn't bring any party members. Alright, so we have the whip attack. So see how they're like sticking on them? I swear there's probably some way to detonate them or something that I just don't know. Oh, that might be it. Oh, I don't know what I'm doing. Oh, are you telling me that I can... Okay, I have no idea. I have no idea what those do. It almost feels like I can throw them on things and then use them as demon hand points. I'm gonna have to do the weapon tutorial. No, I have no idea. Yeah, I'm sorry. All right, so that's gonna do it. Sorry, I don't know how to use those, so that's what the whip looks like. It's kind of cool, you know, whip with a giant ball on it. How much customization is there? Just about as much as Monster Hunter, just not much. There's a lot of skill-based customization, lots of item-based customization, but for the character, there is not much at all. Yeah, Final Fantasy XIV is not really open world. I think for a lot of cases, you just need to figure out what you actually enjoy about an MMO. Whether that is, I don't know, what, depending on what it is, you're going to find, or you're going to be able to cycle down what you enjoy. Like if you like the combat, you're going to find a game that it has good combat. If you like just exploring, then you're going to be able to look past combat. If you're looking for everything, you're going to have a problem. And I think a lot of times when people are like, oh, I wish that there was Blade and Soul, but I wish that it was set in space. Like you're never going to find a game that clicks every one of your boxes, because no one's going to make Blade and Soul in space. No one's going to make Black Desert in space. So you're going to have to give up some, whether that's with setting, or whether that's because it's tab target instead of action combat, or whether it's open world versus, you know, lobby based. You just need to figure out what it is that you enjoy about a game, what you want to do when you sit down and play the game, and then try and build around that. Open world MMO is like one of the most incredibly vague things that you could ever say. I know this is off topic, but the U.S. just barely launched a bunch of missiles at Syria military targets. Just like, oh, Pasty Prince, what a badass. All right, so that's gonna go ahead and do it for me, guys. Thanks for popping around. Thanks for coming out, and I'll talk to you guys later.